Welcome to Tax File. I am your host, Laure Bala Hassan, and today's episode is filled with insights you don't want to miss. We'll start with the latest tax news to keep you updated on key developments. In our Did You Know segment, we'll share some fascinating tax facts you may not be aware of. Then it's time for Vox Pop, where we hear directly from you, the public, on pressing tax issues. In the Knowledge Zone, we'll take those views further and break them down in details. Our Professional Insight segment will feature expert perspectives to guide you through tax complexities. And to wrap it up, in What's on the Net, we will respond to your questions and comments from social media. It's going to be an enlightening ride. Let's dive in. And now, the news. The Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Dr. Zak Adedeji, was in Ado-Ekiti recently for the commissioning of the newly completed Ekiti State Revenue House. His visit placed Ekiti in the national spotlight, celebrating strong collaboration between the federal and state governments in driving tax administration and development. Saama Chido reports.
Dr. Adedeji, who is also the chairman Joint Tax Board, described the edifice as more than a building, a symbol of progress, partnership, and responsible governance. His presence underscored the growing synergy between the FIRS, the JTB, and the state governments across Nigeria in building stronger revenue institutions. The event drew an impressive audience, including the Governor of Ekiti State, His Excellency Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji, members of the Ekiti State Internal Revenue Service, traditional rulers, and other dignitaries, all gathered to celebrate the state's commitment to efficient tax management. Dr. Adedeji commended the Ekiti State government for investing in structures that promote accountability and service delivery, noting that such initiatives encourage taxpayers to see the direct impact of their contributions. The commissioning of the Ekiti State Revenue House marks another milestone in Nigeria's tax reform journey. And for Dr. Zak Adedeji, it is a reaffirmation of his vision to make tax work for national development.
Tax authorities and taxpayers are set to benefit from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's new tax legislation, which takes effect on the 1st of January 2026. One of the major innovations under the new regime is the establishment of the Office of the Tax Ombud, OTO, through the Joint Revenue Board of Nigeria Establishment Act 2025 to resolve tax-related grievances between taxpayers and tax authorities without cost to the parties. Aisha Abdulkader reports.
During a Federal Inland Revenue Service taxpayer webinar series held recently, tax experts Mrs. Bolanle Aziz and Mr. Olufemi Olarinde described the Ombud as a key institution to promote fairness, transparency, and accountability in tax administration. They explained that the model would ensure taxpayer protection, strengthen compliance, and enhance confidence in the tax system. Coordinating directors Dr. Dick Erie and Mr. Tamaji Shetima also commended the initiative, noting that it offers taxpayers an alternative to lengthy court processes when seeking redress. Director of the Taxpayer Services Department, Mrs. Lovett Ononoga, said the creation of the Tax Ombud reflects government's commitment to fairness, inclusiveness, and accountability under the Renewed Hope agenda.
And the Federal Inland Revenue Service has taken its tax sensitization drive to operators of micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, in Oyo, Ogun, and Osun states through a tax clinic held recently in Ibadan. The event, organized by the Taxpayer Services Department, TPSD, is aimed to promote voluntary compliance and educate business owners on the benefits of the ongoing tax reforms. Hussein Ibrahim reports.
FIRS Executive Chairman Dr. Zak Adedeji, represented by Dr. Benga Adebayo, Director of the Emerging Tax Department South, said the service had created a more unified and efficient tax administration system to reduce the burden on taxpayers. He explained that simplifying compliance and removing administrative barriers would boost business confidence, encourage investment, and drive economic growth. TPSD Director, Mrs. Lovett Ononoga, added that the new tax laws were designed to build trust, simplify processes, and create a fairer, more inclusive tax system. Also speaking, Dr. Kehinde Odunsi, Director of the Medium Taxpayers Department South, highlighted the role of technology in simplifying tax payments, noting that taxpayers can now pay online and receive instant receipts.
And that's a wrap on the news. Let's join Mariam on the Vox Pop segment.
Hello and welcome to the segment. My name is Mariam Julde Adura. We're here again to talk about salient tax matters. And today we'll be talking about the personal income tax, PIT, and those exempt from paying such a tax. Come. So we want to find out from you who are exempt from paying the personal income tax, which is PIT.
Okay, thank you very much for this question. From the point of view of the new tax law, I believe that there are these people that earn below the minimum wage, and also the citizens of other countries, because it is believed that they are paying tax already in their home country. So if they pay here, that will amount to double taxation.
Okay, from the top of my head, I would mention people who earn minimum wage. They're exempt from personal income tax. In the new act as well, the rank and files as defined in the act that governs forces, the people who are regarded as rank and files are exempt too from paying. Also, people who work in, let's say, embassies, who have diplomatic status, provided that the tax is being deducted in their home country, they are also exempt from PIT.
Prior to now, those that are exempted from paying PIT are those that earn below the minimum wage. But when you talk about the new tax law, those that are, earning below the 800,000 naira, they are exempted from paying. Even though 800,000 is actually 0%, but it's actually no percent. So they're exempted. But if they earn above 800,000, they pay taxes and it's graduated. Yeah.
That's progressive.
Yeah, progressive, yes. The rates are graduated, yeah, progressive, yes.
There is now a new legislation, but prior to the new legislation, that is the Nigerian Tax Act, what we had individuals who are earning below the minimum wage. But even with the new tax reform, individuals who still earn below the minimum tax are exempted from paying personal income tax, as well as individuals who are in the military or paramilitary in the cadre of the rank and file or said to be the other ranks are exempted from payment of personal income taxes in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you know individuals earning the national minimum wage or less and those earning below 800,000 naira annually are exempt from personal income tax? For more information, please visit www.firs.gov.ng.
Ashu Abe takes us on the Knowledge Zone.
Hello and welcome to Knowledge Zone, where we dive deeper into interesting conversations had on the streets. I remain your host, Ashu Abe. The question today is, who is exempt from paying personal income tax? Under the new tax regime effective from 1st January 2026, individuals whose annual income or chargeable income is 800,000 naira or less are now fully exempt from paying personal income tax. This means the first 800,000 of chargeable income is taxed at 0%. Under this new schedule, And for salaried employees, devices of pay as you earn, the effect is that over 90% of workers are expected to fall into the exempt category under the new tax law. Now let's explain this a little further. The 800,000 naira exemption is against chargeable income. For example, salaried individuals may have deductibles portions such as rents, reliefs, pensions, etc. That reduces their chargeable income under the reform schedule. So to put it in context, if you earn 1.5 million a year, the first 800,000 is tax-free. The remaining 700,000 is taxed at 15% rate or whatever the application rate in that band is under the new regime. Over to you, Lore.
And now to our professional insight segments.
The Emerging Taxpayers Department (NOT) is saddled majorly with the responsibility to supervise offices within its jurisdiction. And we have 64 offices, like I said, comprising of both tax office, tax audit, and satellite tax office, to train staff of that of the offices to ensure that we have requisite staff with requisite skills who are able to manage. And having attained a certain level of training for this staff, we ensure that we embark first and foremost on DEX review in the tax offices. We ensure quality, effective, and efficient tax DEX review of all tax returns that are filed. Secondly, we ensure that we engage on sensitization. Through Tax Thursdays events, we ensure that we enlighten our taxpayers to let them know their rights and obligations as taxpayers, and as well to ensure that they are in tune with the provisions of the tax laws. As regards our tax audit unit, we ensure that they carry out an effective risk profiling of taxpayers, leveraging on technology through the tax data management department to ensure that they get necessary banking details of these taxpayers, profile the taxpayers with high risks, and leveraging on the 80-20 rule to get taxpayers who are able to pay better taxes than the ones who you will engage and you pay little, you get little taxes from them. So we ensure that they engage in an effective tax audit that will increase the tax yield. So first and foremost, how we intend to expand the tax net is to engage in collaboration. Collaboration, first and foremost, is to get information from our tax data department here in FIRS. Having obtained information, the banking information of these taxpayers, we go ahead to engage with these taxpayers, writing them to let them know of their obligations with the FIRS. Secondly, we leverage on collaboration with unions, trade unions, to see that they inform their members of the need to be in the tax net and to fulfill their obligations as Nigerians who are carrying on business here. Thirdly, during our Tax Thursday sensitization, we visit these individuals who are not even in the bank net, because it's one thing for you to be in the net, in the banking net, and for us to engage you. Where we cannot have that data, there is nothing we can do. But for those individuals who are unbanked or the unbanked taxpayers, we let them know of the need for them to register and the need to have their funds secured as well. The northern region is characterized with low level of education and non-awareness for taxes, as well as not even engage in banking activities. So how we intend, or what we have been doing, is to engage the trade unions, one, and to look at it even from a religious perspective. Islam believes in the payment of taxes, and we have always tried to convince them, encourage them to fulfill their obligations even before God and man, to ensure that their obligation to pay tax is guided even in terms of their religion. Therefore, we have gotten great responses from these taxpayers, because they know, of course, that even if they are not in the banking sector, they are not engaged because of the level of their businesses and their level of their awareness, they are cooperating, and we are doing our best to continue and not to rest on our hours. Yeah, the major challenge for us is security. Security and lack of technology adoption. Like I tell you, in places like Zamfara, Kebbi, Sokoto, there are banditry. Places in Katsina, as we all know, there are issues of banditry, and this has really hampered on the commercial activities of these traders. Mostly you find individuals who are engaged in agriculture, and it has really hampered their operations. Now, for others who are engaged in other sectors of the economy, they are militated from engaging in these businesses because of transportation. They cannot move from one place to the other, and as such, it affects their turnover. But what we're doing in those areas where this insecurity is not prevalent, we still encourage these taxpayers to see how they can improve on their obligations to tax and give in their best. And we are not doing bad, I will say. Of course, as one of the cardinal pillars of this administration, this executive management, the ETG North is leveraging on technology to ensure that it expands or surpass its set target. And how it is doing this is, first and foremost, its collaboration with the tax data department to ensure that we obtain bank data or banking details of our taxpayers, and to corroborate what we have on this data with the returns they have filed. Now, once there is a shortfall, for example, a taxpayer has filed a tax return of, say, maybe 50 million, and what we have seen in his banking details is beyond 250 million. We write to the taxpayer to provide us with this information, to provide us with their bank statement so that we can corroborate this information. If there is a variance in the information, we reassess the taxpayer to tax, and hence there is an improved yield. Secondly, we also engage in tax audit by profiling these taxpayers to ensure that those data with high risk are slated for this audit. Thirdly, we use data to improve our tax compliance program. We look at these taxpayers, we analyze them via the tax compliance data, and ensure that for those taxpayers who are not doing well, we write to them in order to raise additional liabilities and attain and surpass our set target. Collaboration, of course, cannot be overemphasized, because no entity operates as an island, and as such, the department and the offices under her has intensively collaborated with various entities. For example, the department collaborates internally with the tax data mining department to get information, banking details of taxpayers. Secondly, the various offices collaborate with trade unions to ensure that they get the members, they get the buy-in of the trade union first and foremost, before they can go after their taxpayers, after their members. So once we get the buy-in, we collaborate with the trade unions and they accept us. and then they encourage their members to register for tax purposes. Then lastly, we also collaborate with religious leaders to ensure that they even preach to their members of the essence of taxation in Nigeria, because it is with the process of taxation that the government is able to engage in expenditure and provision of infrastructure for its citizens. From the office of the Coordinating Director, Emerging Taxpayers Group, the CD has created a unit called the Taxpayer Reactivation Unit. For us, we see this as a low-hanging fruit because we want the existing taxpayers who have stopped filing, we want to reactivate those accounts who have gone inactive. From our activities, we have established that some of these taxpayers who have stopped filing are even engaged in businesses. So we are leveraging on information we have from the tax data mining department to ensure that those taxpayers who have stopped filing and are still carrying on activities, we go after them. Secondly, we know, of course, it's not easy in the North because of the level of education and the aspect of not engaging in banking activities because of the peculiarity of the business. So what we are doing right now is to continue to synergize with the trade unions and the religious bodies to continue to encourage its members and to ensure that they make payment of their taxes as their obligation, even on the aspect of moral grounds or on religious grounds. And lastly, we want to still continue on sensitizing the taxpayers, letting them know that it is important for them to engage in banking activities rather than engaging in the old-fashioned way of saving of funds because of the risk of theft, pilferages, or any form of eventuality like fire and the rest.
Over to Swateku for What's on the Net.
Good day and welcome to What's on the Net. My name is Joyce Swateku. At The Engine Block is asking, how can I change my login details? At The Engine Block, you can change your login details by visiting the nearest FIRS to you and fill an update form for the e-service login details to be generated and sent to the company's email. At Ballberries United is asking, abeg FIRS, what can be done to companies that do not file their tax returns since they are not operational after CAC registration before 2026? You people are penalizing with crazy penalties. At Ballberry, the Federal Inland Revenue Service has clarified that companies registered with the Corporate Affairs Commission but not yet operational are still required to file nil tax returns until they officially commence business. This filing confirms their non-operational status and prevents penalties from accumulating. FIRS advises such companies to visit the nearest tax office or use the Tax Pro Max platform to regularize their records. Over to you, Laurie.
Thank you, Swat, for that enlightening segment. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Tax File. I hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a clearer understanding of today's tax matters. But the conversation doesn't stop here. Join us on social media to share your thoughts, questions, and experiences. We are always ready to keep the dialogue going. Until next time, I am Laurie Bala Hassan. Stay informed, stay compliant, and keep watching Tax File. FIRS, simplifying tax, maximizing revenue.